I wanted to talk a little bit about, let's see if we can get this to work, perfect. I wanted to talk to you about the letter F. The letter F has had many, many different meanings in my life. Back in high school, that little F landed on my papers and tests more than I care to share or remember. Our educational system puts kids in a box, teaches them all the same way, tests them the same way, and then sends them out into adulthood with a label on their back. You, above average. You, average. And you, below average. Good luck in life. When faced with the idea of spending the next 4 years in college and actually paying for people to tell me that I'm average, I basically said, forget it. Because my life is summed up by this quote. And basically, my high school education, I felt like I was a fish being judged by the ability to climb a tree and leaving my educational time feeling stupid. So I said, F it, right? Some people say booyah. At that point, I said F it. I wasn't going to do it. The one good thing that came out of high school for me was my husband, Kevin. So we met at 16, and you can see up there, yes, I am wearing a sexy t-shirt, so. But I met Kevin, and we started our life together pretty early. And he decided to forego college, and he got into car sales. And so he was making a pretty good living. And we decided to buy our first house. And so as we were looking for our first house, our real estate agent inspired me to potentially get my license because it looked pretty fun what she was doing. She was helping people, she was out and about, things were changing fast. So I decided to take a risk and sit for my real estate exam. And it must have been way easier 20 years ago because I passed it the first time. Booyah. And so my career went pretty well. You know, the first year I was doing, I think I did 15, 20 transactions. They called me Rookie of the Year. I went to, every year I was selling 20, 30, 35 homes, and I was making about 150 grand, which at that time was really good money. In fact, nobody in my family had made that kind of money, and I was the one that skipped college. And so when you think about life, life was good. I mean, Kevin and I were both making 150 grand, but life is life, and it took a turn for the worst. And so the market crashed, and my amazing $150,000 income went down to $40,000, and I wasn't having fun anymore. And I said to Kevin, if I have to do this job for $40,000, I may just get out of the business. So I remember sitting and praying about my real estate career. Was I going to keep doing this? And thankfully, a magical fairy came into my life. Now you might think it was somebody like Tinkerbell, but it wasn't. This was a man named Mike Ferry, and he was my first mentor. Give it up for Mike, right? Tom Ferry's dad. And the trajectory of my life changed because Mike taught me that I needed to have a pilot. I needed to have somebody that was the architect of my life, and I needed to take control of it. And the way that he taught me how to take control of my life was getting into the office every single day and making it my mission to get in front of people that needed my help. Expireds, for sale by owners, people in my community. And so when I took control of my business and I started to get into the office at the right time, script and role play with other people just like me, I saw my business bounce back. And that first year, we went from that 40,000 right back up to 150. But I think the most important thing that Mike taught me was to have belief in myself, to think a little bit bigger. I mean, this guy grew up in a trailer park and he's worth over $100 million. So armed with that belief and that positive thinking and knowing that I had the skills to kind of live anywhere, Kevin and I decided to architect our life. And we said, where would we live if we could live anywhere? Well, we both decided that we wanted to live somewhere sunny. And why were we living somewhere where the wind hurt our face for 6 months out of the year with no sunshine? So we decided to take a risk with our new skills and our positive mindset. We moved all the way down to North Carolina. Woo! Yeah. And that little pesky F came back into my life. But this time, it wasn't failure, it was fear. Guys, I was scared. We were scared of moving. We were scared of going broke. We were scared of not knowing anybody in North Carolina. And I think, the most scared of taking that damn exam another time. And this time I had to pass it because we both, needed to make money. So I was learning a new territory, and the Southern accents, they actually scared me too. So we went to work, and I decided to call fear a liar. I decided to move past the fear and take action. And so in the next 4 years in North Carolina, we went from 0 to 130 transactions. And you might go, wow, that's amazing, because I had a goal of earning $1 million on my tax return. I just wanted to see those zeros. And I finally did it. And you might look at that person, she's kicking her leg up, she looks pretty happy. And deep down, I was miserable. I feel like I was in jail. I was giving my time up. I was driving home at night, 7:30, 8 o'clock at night. I mean, how many of us have done that? Coming home from a listing presentation because the seller needed you at that time. I missed tucking my son into bed many nights. Our vacations were workations where I was up in the hotel room writing deals and fixing the problems of the sellers while my family was down at the pool having fun. So I thought about it, and I thought, I was the architect of my life to get here to North Carolina. Why am I in this kind of business? And I've lost the passion, because obviously I have money. I have a lot of money. So money wasn't the motivator at that point. It was purpose, and it was passion. And so we looked at our career at RE/MAX. We were at a great company, had the balloon and everything. And I had paid RE/MAX $700,000 for my 8 years there. And I got a Lifetime Achievement Award that's up in the closet somewhere collecting dust. And I thought, did RE/MAX give me a lead during the time that I was there? The answer is no. Did RE/MAX pay for my training? No, because I paid $250,000 for my training in that 10-year period. So if RE/MAX is not giving me anything, why am I giving them all my money? And I started to look around our area, and I was like, who are the people that have the business and the life that I want? And I started to focus on KW people and their teams, and they looked so happy. So I was like, you know what, I think I'm going to go to KW, because they actually were trying to recruit me for 4 years. So I bought the little red book. I ended up going to KW for the promise of building a 7th level team. I used the extra money, and I hired really talented people to help me build this team. And when I started to meet and talk to the real estate agents that were running these teams, they were miserable. I mean, they hated their life. They were like on a different hamster wheel. I was getting off my independent agent hamster wheel, and they were on the team leader hamster wheel, complaining about the agents are lazy, they don't want to call their leads, and I'm just pulling my hair out. And I thought, oh my God, what did I sign up for? This is not good. I need leverage. I need leverage. So here's the hamster wheel. This is what it looks like. You recruit agents to your team. You teach them how to fish. You hope and pray every night that they don't leave, because one 30, 40 deal a year producer walks out the door and you're in trouble. You're in trouble. And eventually they do. And you know what, guys? I want to empower our agents. I want them to leave my team. But I couldn't before. I couldn't ask my team at KW to walk out the door because I needed them, because that was my leverage plan. And so every minute of every hour, those team leaders had to start over. And it just wasn't good. So I was still searching for more leverage, and I wanted my time back, and I thought, F this, right? This is terrible. And so then I started to think about, how could I make passive income? Because I had a few rental properties at that time, and rental properties are great. They're a long hold type of asset, but they weren't making an income. And so I bought Trailer Park University, and I was gonna go find mobile home parks. And I remember talking to my sponsor about it, because her and her husband also wanted to invest. And we started to create this plan. We would spend a couple $1 million. We would buy these parks, we would renovate them, and we would make about $15,000 a month in residual passive income. And if we did it twice, it would be 30. My number was 30 grand a month. I wanted to make that because I feel like all of us in this room can live off 30 grand a month pretty comfortably. I mean, unless you're Jake Pinder. I mean, now he's way above that, right? So 30 grand a month was my goal. And I get a call from Michelle, my sponsor, who was a friend at Mike Ferry. And were at the family reunion. And Michelle was actually going to leave her company and come to KW. So I thought she was going to talk to me about that. But she drops a bomb on me and she says, Tina, I got to tell you something. I'm not coming to KW. I'm going to this company called EXP. And I said, ESP? I said, Michelle, I've heard about EXP. People have approached me about it. It's like a discount brokerage in my area. I'm not doing it. Not doing it. And she was relentless. But I kept complaining about the logos. I felt that the logo didn't align with my logo because we do luxury. My OP told me that the stock was a penny stock, so of course, why wouldn't I believe her? The avatars were strange to me, and Glenn Sanford, who she kept talking about Glenn, what a genius he was, and he's created this destructive model. So she went to work on me, but you know, it took me a little bit of time to understand this concept. And so one night, 2 months in, I remember laying in bed, and I had all of Michelle's little emails stuffed in a little folder. And it was a weak moment, and so I picked this video that Jean, how many people have seen the napkin presentation? Say right? And so I'm watching this napkin presentation by this man, and I realized at that moment, it struck me. Jean taught me in that moment that I was the leverage for my broker for the last 18 years. I was their retirement plan. And our brokers don't teach us how to have leverage. And that company, this vehicle that we all get to be a part of, teaches us what you saw today. Agents getting their freedom back, getting leverage back. And all of these team leaders, what do they want? Leverage. The little red book teaches leverage, but it doesn't teach you how to have a team and empower those agents to lead you. And I tell my team, and they're all here today, maybe they can cheer, but they know that I want them to leave. Please go leave and build this business bigger than I did. Please do that, because that is going to empower those people to go build a life. And so I said, F it, once again. I'm like, you know what? Everyone's going, what do I have to lose? EXP's changing the world, right? So I'm just going to hop on that ship, and we're going to make it happen. So I love this quote because as I sat there worried about what everybody would say in my market, opportunities don't go away, folks. They go to somebody else that's willing to take a risk. And so I said yes, and I became fearless. So there's that F again. It shows up in my life. And I was like, I don't care what anybody says. In fact, my OP looked at me and said, this is the biggest mistake you will ever make leaving this company. And I just left that day and said, watch me. And so I had a passion in my belly. So fast forward 27 months, we grew from 8 sponsors to 104. I believe more in attracting agents more than recruiting agents. So like Chauncey, I love that. She makes me look so lazy. So basically on day one, we were about to do a lunch and learn. And I decided to change that lunch and learn into coming from value first. And so I opened up my doors on a Friday at 11 o'clock, and I said, we're not going to talk about EXP today. We're going to talk about what agents want to talk about. We're going to talk about production. We're going to talk about listing presentations. We're going to teach these people how to sell homes. That's just what they want, right? And so we ended up opening the doors, and we had one agent that came. And then the next week we had 2. And the next week they brought a friend. And it was a little room, and we ended up having to open up the doors. These people were sitting in the hallways, and it was like a congregation that just kept filling and filling because we were giving them what their brokers failed to do. We were giving them an education. And so, to me, that's the best that I could do, was give them that education. So now, guys, this is for real. I remember my first revenue share check was $143, and I had cashed a check for $100 grand on a commission before, but I was more excited about $143 because I made that in my sleep. So this grows. This is something that is going to exceed my 500 transaction team a year, and that by next year, EXP's rev share will exceed what my team can do. And so I just think this is such an awesome opportunity. So what has happened at EXP? I got 35 seconds, they're gonna keep me off. My one dream was to retire my mother. And buy her house, which I did. I'm not gonna cry because this is for you, not me. I bought her a house, I bought my father a house. I used my stock to buy that Airbnb. I said yes to more opportunities in 2019. I was able to do a TEDx talk. I made sure to have rev share on my license plate to make sure that that is our incentivized leadership. That is our fee for coaching and mentorship to agents. And then that's a picture of Kevin and I in Cabo. We rented a yacht for our EXP team with other leaders in this company. And so EXP has actually given me that freedom. So I'm so